actions that God wants from human beings. How can I get close to God? And the rabbi begins to tell him that if you want a connection with God, he starts explaining his connection. Our connection starts from, and this is really the this chapter explains, or this verse explains what the Jewish belief is all about. And he says that we believe in God that took us out of that God who we believe in the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Israel, who took the Jewish people out of Egypt with miracles and wonders, and they fed them in the desert for 40 years, and he gave them the land of Israel. After crossing the river, that was a miracle. The crossing the Jordan River and crossing the ocean, the Dead Sea, and he sent Moshe with the Torah and thousands of prophets, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of prophets. And we believe that there's a reward for if you keep the Torah. There's a punishment if you don't. And we believe in everything that's written in the Torah, and it's very long and complicated. And the king's like shocked. What do you mean? That's your connection with God? Is the connection with God is so narrow that it goes only to like a small group of people, the Jewish people, that are 0.03 of the population of the world, and that's it. God chose these few people and that small nation, and where's your effort and your work, and what did they do to, like, nothing. It's as if that the rabbi starts teaching the king from Lech Lecha. And what did Avraham Avinu do? Nothing. We don't know. It just says Vayomer Hashem Avraham Lech Lecha. The Torah purposely doesn't tell us about Avraham Avinu, what he did to become Avraham Avinu. All we know is God chose Avraham Avinu. So basically, where's the self-work, self-effort? Where's the connection with God? It seems very, very narrow-minded. It seems racist. And the king is very upset. And the rabbi begins to open him up to understand more of the concepts by explaining that basically, he says, let me ask you a question. He starts with a parable. If you would hear about some king, that his people are so honest and so good and the most wonderful people, would you now say that this king is incredible because these people are so good? You heard of a nation. A king wants to know that his nation is running in a good way and there's good people. You heard about a king that there's very good people and they're honest, and would you now start saying how great the king is? Would you change your life? Would you change your kingdom based on those people there? The king says, obviously not. Maybe those people are just good because of their own virtues. Maybe there's no king. Maybe there's a bad king, but the people are good. Who knows? But if I would tell you that those people now came to you with gifts from the king, with a letter from the king, and the letter explains how he runs, its address to you, and the letter explains how he runs his kingdom, and he sends you gifts, and you're meeting the ministers, the personal assistants of the king, and they give you gifts, these gifts that cure your whole kingdom from their sicknesses, and and not only do they get rid of all the sickness, they keep you healthy. And not only and they give you these secret weapons that destroy all your enemies and that nobody can fight against you. Now would you praise that king? Now would you change your whole reality of your kingdom based on this king? He says, obviously. And if I asked you, tell me about the king, you would say, the king sent me ministers, sent me a letter. You would only talk to me about things you saw and experienced firsthand. And that's what I answered you. When you asked me, tell me about your belief, I told you about Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, because And what's this parable? The Jewish people. The Jewish people have a letter from God, which is the Torah. The Jewish people have medication that makes us live forever. The Jewish people have a secret weapon that gets rid of every single enemy of ours without even going to war. Whereas Paro, Nebuchadnezzar, Titus, all of our enemies disappear, are destroyed. Anybody who comes against us will be destroyed without us doing anything. Obviously, we have to do our best and make it happen faster, right? We have to be partners with God. But even if we don't do anything, it says, Lo yelecha Elohim acherim al panai. Don't have any other gods but me. Rashi says, what's that word, acherim? What does that mean, acherim? So Rashi says the word acherim means me'acherim et hatova ilavo. The word in Hebrew for me'acher means what? Slicha, ani me'acher, icharti. No, we're not hinting anything.
You're too late.
You're late, right? Me'acharim is making it late. In other words, me'acharim et hatova, making the good come later. God decided this world's going to be a good place whether we like it or not. Sit in your couch, do nothing, and the world become a better place. So where do I play a role? I'm insignificant. I have no part to play in this issue of making the world better. This is your choice. You can make it happen faster or make it happen slower. If a person acts in a bad way, that makes the good happen slower. If a person acts in a good way, it makes the good happen faster. That's why when you daven, you say, Et samach David bimhera tatzmiach. Make it happen faster. It should make it faster. We want our actions. We want to be part of making it faster. So this is so he says, why did I say to you, when you asked me, tell me about the Jewish people, why did I say, of your belief, why did I say God chose Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and why did I say all these things and not tell you about the creator of the world, who feeds us, who I want to be like him? I know nothing about him. I know nothing about the creator of the world. All I know is what I've come in contact with. What I've come in contact with was Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Those are the things that I know. So the king says, okay, so basically what you're saying, that the Torah is only for you. God needed a people. He needed a group of people. He chose the Jewish people, Jewish the nation. But theoretically, he could have chosen another nation. But now he chose you. Like the Christians say, God, you were chosen. You sinned. And he chose us. But then the rabbi says something else. No. Yes, it's only for us, but we are sgula mibnei Adam. We are, what does this mean? Sgula mibnei Adam. What does that mean? We have an inherent value. We have something special that all other human beings don't have. What does that mean? I don't like that, says the king. Let me explain to you what a sgula is. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you this word, sgula. And in I think the best translation from what I've tried to understand is an inherent value, a unique, like a specialness that no one else has. And we'll explain what that is. A stone, do you agree with me, says the rabbi, do you agree with me that if you have a stone and then you have a plant has the ability to make seeds, to grow, to develop, it eats, it drinks. Would you agree that a stone, that is plant, is not an advanced stone? Would you agree that plant is a separate entity? It's something special within itself? The sgula of a plant is that it grows. That's what it means, sgula. An inherent value. Okay? Okay, I agree. A plant is not a stone, and no matter how much you develop a stone, it will not become a plant. Water a stone day and night. Do whatever you want to do with a stone, it won't become a plant. And then he says, do you agree? Do you agree that that an animal has a sgula of an animal? It has a personality. It also eats and drinks like a plant. It also reproduces like a plant, but it has a personality. Right? A dog, an animal, it has a personality. It has a ishiyut. It's like something. It's alive. It moves. It's not an advanced plant. There is a certain point where they do like have similarities. They have this. We know there's atoms and there's how do you say? There's things that they're similar that they have in common, but there's a sgula. There's an inherent value of an animal that has a personality that makes it an animal. It has life, certain life that a plant doesn't have. I agree. Now, do you agree that a human being is a new existence? That a human being is a new existence? It's not only a personality. A human being is a ability, a sechel, to think, to talk, to you expect of a human being. Lowest level is tikkun midot. Higher level is okay. A higher level is where do we say that? Where are we? We expect a person tikkun midot because a human being is not an animal. So the first thing we expect of a human being is to have this understanding. I need to develop and become a better person. I need to grow my personality. Tikkun midot. Number 2, we expect of a human being to have a family, to make a home, to have children. Higher level, you're not just working on your own personal development. You're also having a family, and you're a husband, and you're a father, and you built a home. That's a higher level. And above that, Medina. You expect of people to build a state with manners, with like running a country, and with laws and all these things that are expected because we're human beings. Now, says the king, is there anything above a person? So he asked the king, the rabbi asked the king, is there anything above a person? He says, well, if you would actually ask me, if you're saying the highest level of a person is the sechel, so a person like the next level up would be a person that's always living on a level of sechel, a chacham, a person that is we're all, okay, it's our advantage, that's our sgula. Human beings have a sgula, animals have a sgula of a personality, human beings have a sgula of a sechel, and this, right, we have a sechel.
We need one more person for a minion. We have to go to a cemetery right now for someone. We need one more for a minion. Someone can go. Can you guys go now?
I'm trying to find somebody else.
You have to go now, Kyle.
So the sgula of a plant is that it's a lot. It's, how do you say, it grows. The sgula of an animal is that it has a personality. The sgula of a human being is that it has, right, the inherent value, something that is unique. Is that we have a secha. So the king says, yeah, I guess a person that's always in a chacham, a very wise person that's always living at that level of the secha, because sometimes we live our life with our secha, sometimes we don't. The rabbi says, no, you didn't get it. A person who doesn't live his life with a sechel, a person has a sechel or doesn't have a sechel, is like the difference of, if I tell you here's a table. A table is a piece of wood with 4 legs. Is that a table? Yes. And what about a piece of marble with 3 legs? Is that a table? Yeah. So he says, you didn't get it. When I say the difference between a plant and an animal, or a stone and a plant, something ends and something new starts. Yes, there is a connection. But it's not a new change. A stupid person and a smart person is not a new reality. It's the same reality, but in a different. He advanced his intellect or his seichel to a higher level. He's maximizing it, but it's still not a new level. What would be a new level? If I would tell you, says the rabbi, that there's a person that can walk into fire and nothing happens to him, that could not eat, not drink, and his face is beaming, that you can't look at his face. He needs to cover his face because his face is so full of light. Would you agree that? And he never gets sick and he never gets weak. And when it comes to his final days, he goes as if somebody who's going to bed, going to sleep. He knows at a set time. He knows exactly when he's going to die. He says a certain time, a certain place. He goes into his bed and he goes to sleep. That's how he dies. Beam me up, gone to the next world. And he knows what's going to be. And he knows what was, and he knows what's going to be. Now would you agree that this is something completely different? Now, if you look at what the king spoke about here, what the rabbi spoke about here, every level of Moshe Rabbeinu that we just mentioned is completely different than anything we talked about. The first thing we spoke about was inanimate objects, stones. Anything that comes into contact with fire gets harmed. Moshe Rabbeinu can walk into a volcano and nothing happens to him. And through generations, Avram Avinu was thrown into fire, Hanani, Mishael, Azariah thrown into fire, walk into fire and nothing happens to him. He's completely different than there's nothing in common between him and the stone, and the level of everything that comes into contact with fire gets destroyed. But he does not. Number one. Number two, we said plants. Plants, they need to eat. They need to eat. And the less they eat, what happens? They become weak and they wilt. Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't eat and doesn't drink. And what happens to his material? He's beaming. The opposite. You fast for a day and you're like, and there's no light. You're shut off. He could not eat, not drink 40 days, 40 nights, which is in other words, the plant world. No food, no drink, and he becomes beaming. The next level, the animal level. Animal is a more advanced level of creation. But animals get sick. Right? Because the animals there's life, there's also sicknesses and diseases and all kinds of things. And he does not get sick and he does not get weak. At the age of 120, it says lo naslecho velo tashkocho. He was like strong and fit the way he was when he was 20. His material does not get weakened, does not get sick, and he knows when he's going to die at a set time, set place, and he knows the past and he knows the future. Okay?
Does that mean that he knew he was not going into Eretz Yisrael?
He definitely knew. That's why he was trying to change it.
From before, even before?
No. When God told him, you're not going in, he knew. In other words, he knew the past and the future. You could say, it's a good question. He knew the past. We're talking way, way past. Like he could take us all the way back to how the world was created. And all about, and that's what we'll talk about now. We're going into that. But it's very interesting. So the king's like, so now would you agree this is a completely different... Now, everything we mentioned here is about Moshe Rabbeinu. So tell me about the Jewish people. Okay, if there's a person... So why is Moshe Rabbeinu... When I'm explaining to you about the Jewish people, why am I taking Moshe Rabbeinu as the example? The answer is Moshe Rabbeinu is a person who maximized his potential. He's like the prototype. He is the example of a person that reached his fullest potential as the Jewish nation. So he's like a representative of the Jewish nation, one person, but really he's just showing everybody what you could be, what your potential is. So on every level, from animal, human, stone, plant, on every level, he's different. There's nothing in common. There's nothing, no connection. Moshe Rabbeinu is a new creation. Okay? And he says, this is a little... So the king says, I don't know what that is. So what would you call that? So Amal Kuzari, now we're at 42. This is 42 in the book. If you're with me, look inside. Mal Kuzari, אבל המעלה הזאת אלוהית מלאכותית אם היא נמצאת. וזה מדין העניין האלוהי. I don't know if this is godly or an angel, or I don't know what to call it even. What is this person? What is this new existence that you're talking about that I can't explain it, right? If it exists, so I don't know. Is this an angel? Is this godly? Lo mina sichli. This is definitely not a human. This is not an intellectual. V'lo mina nafshi. It's definitely not an animal. V'lo mina tivi. And it's definitely not a plant. It's completely something else, right? If you would tell me that there's something above the sechel, above the intellect, I would have to agree that this is really an angel. And this is the Jewish people. The Jewish people are an angel nation. And by the way, I'll tell you a story you're not going to believe. I may have said it last week, but I'll say it again because I'm still moved by it. I went down to the Nova, where the Nova party was. I spoke about this already?
No.
I went with a guy, his name is Rami Davidian. Look him up on YouTube. This guy saved 750 kids, or I don't know, men and women from the party. I got to listen to him tell his story firsthand. He didn't eat or drink for 48 hours. He got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, going to shul to go and do a yurtzeit for his father. It's the day his father passed away. And he gets a call. My son has been captured by terrorists. I need you to save him. And he runs to go and save him. He ends up making his home into a hospital, making the community center into a hospital, depending which cases were bad or less. The bad cases that were in his house, the less difficult. And for 48 hours straight, he got all of his family members involved with cars, and he was, because he speaks fluent Arabic and he looks like an Arab, he went into the terrorists. They thought he was one of them. He pretended that he was stealing and taking, and at the same time he was saving. You can't believe his story is like, he was shot up with thousands of bullets and nothing happened to him. And he's telling us a story. When he's done the whole story of miracles about miracles, and there's certain points where he said, someone called him and said, like, I'm in this bush and I need you to save me. And he goes, and then there's no internet. And he just closes his eyes and he just started to function on a new level of existence. He was able to go and find the guy. And he came at one point, he saw there was a woman stuck in the bushes, and he screamed to the guys, I'm a Muslim from Rahat. I saw the soldiers coming. I can tell you how to get to Be'eri faster. Leave the girl, I'll kill her, and then I'll meet you there. And they ran off, 6 guys with RPGs and who knows what. And he saved his girl. And that's just one story. Story after story after story. And he timed on his watch how long they were patrolling around. He saw it was 4 minutes. As soon as they started, call up this kid, a group of kids. You run. When I tell you stop, you don't move. And every 4 minutes, again. This is story after story. Whoa. And he's crying. As he's telling me this story, this girl walks up to him and says, I just want to thank you for saving my life. As he was telling me the story there at the Nova, one girl walked over. Whoever wants to see the picture after the show, after the class, I'll show you the picture. You can't believe. And he was crying that I didn't save enough people. Anyway, but he told us his whole story, and it's beyond words. And I said to him, I'm teaching Kuzari now. I'm learning Kuzari now. And I told him the story. If there could be a person who could go into fire and not eat and not drink, I was like, that is you. Because of your self-sacrifice for the Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu reached that level because of his love and his self-sacrifice for the Jewish people. We know that he even said, wipe me out when we did the sin of the golden calf. Destroy me, wipe me out if you're not going to save the Jewish people. His love, his self-sacrifice for the Jewish people, and that's why he is who he is, and that's why he reached the levels he reached. Because of his connection to the Jewish people and his self-sacrifice. So I told this guy, that's what you tapped into that place. You went above nature. Anyway, back to our story. So I'm saying you're learning something, and then suddenly I felt like I met a guy who lived that experience of Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay? Here we go. So the rabbi spoke about a list of things that makes Moshe Rabbeinu into Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? The whole list, he said here, if I would tell you there's somebody who could not eat, not drink, his face was beaming, he could die when he wants to die, right? He doesn't get sick, he doesn't get weak, all these things. But the rabbi chose to focus on one thing. Moshe Rabbeinu knowing the past. Moshe Rabbeinu being the historian. Why was that the thing that the rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, chose as, let's focus now on that one. Like we can talk about any one of these things. But focus on this, because this is the most thing that is connected to the whole world, connected to the proof, the most facts of something that could be, that's so clear that this is real, that Moshe Rabbeinu is real, the Torah is real. This is the facts of the history of, and this is where we're going to going off into a whole new idea of learning the history of the past of the world. And this is what he says. And then he focuses on this. He says, Amar Chaver. These are a few of the things I mentioned. These are just a few little snippets about our prophet. We're reading Mem Gimel, which is 43 in your book. And also, by the way, I'm translating according to whatever translation I know. You probably have better translations. You can also help me out with the translation. So if I say it wrong, or you can expand on it based on your translations, please feel free to help me out here. These are a few of the descriptions of our prophet. That nobody disagrees, nobody will argue about this, that who we're talking about, Moshe Rabbeinu, is a reality. That it was seen, but when we received the Torah, in Matan Torah, right? When we received the Torah, everyone saw that this person is connecting with God. God is connecting with him. He's talking to him. It says that until we received the Torah, people were kind of questioning about Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe he's a good witch. Maybe he knows how to do tricks. Maybe, who knows? They did not believe him. We're called a stiff-necked nation. Am Kshe Oref. It's our challenge, and it's our value. It's our weakness, but it's our strength. We don't just buy any Baba Mises. We don't just believe anything that happens. Until the Rambam says, until we heard ourselves God speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu, we didn't believe in Moshe Rabbeinu. And this was something that there is no alav cholek. There is no disagreement. There is nobody that argues this fact, because it happened in front of huge masses of people, millions of people at Mount Sinai. They saw, they heard. ויש להם אלוהה שיש להם אלוהם מנהיגם כרצונם כפי עבודתם ומרותם יגיד להם נעלם. He told them the things that nobody could know. He told them the secrets of what was hidden. And he told them how the world was created. And everything that happened before he went thousands of years back. And he told them everything that happened from the flood. And how everyone is related back to the first person, which is Adam. And how the flood happened. And how the 70 nations came about. El Shem, Cham, Yafet, and the children of Noach, which were Shem, Cham, and Yafet. B'nei Noach. And how the languages were created. And where they lived. And how the different trades, or how's it translate there? Melachot. The different trades, or
to develop different language.
Crafts.
What?
Crafts.
The different crafts. Ubinyan hamedinot, and how the countries were created. Ushnei haolam me'adam ve'adata, and the years of the world from Adam until now. Okay? So he says, we also know about the creation of the world. Why don't we talk about it? Well, because we don't start with that. Right? We start from the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu told us the secrets. He told us things that couldn't be known. But our faith does not start from knowing that God created the world. But our faith begins from the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu our rabbi spoke to God face to face. We believe that Moshe Rabbeinu met and saw the hidden things that nobody can know. And he told it to us. He told us the development of the creation of the world. How it started from Moshe Rabbeinu, right? But it didn't start from Moshe Rabbeinu. It started from the Jewish people, and it started from the Skula Yisraelit, the inherent value of, you could say, advantage, the advantage of the Jewish people. Right? So, why isn't the rabbi talking about all the miracles that happened with Moshe Rabbeinu? Why is he only talking about the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu told us the past? What do you think? Like we said, because again, miracles, you could also do miracles in impurity. We saw in Egypt, they did the blood, they did the frogs, they did the snakes. You could do things. That's not what we believe in. Like we said, everything begins from the Mount Sinai, from the Shekhinah, what we saw God speaking. This is what it's about. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu is an angel in the body of a human being. And the Jewish people, we are that as well. We're angels in the human bodies. We are not, it's something it's hard to believe. Moshe Rabbeinu is us. But he was able to bring out this gula. It's like somebody has an incredible talent for music. But he became the greatest musician that ever lived. Right? And we have not yet bring it out. We all should be prophets or connected to prophets. We're not there yet, but that's the direction we're going. Okay? So, let's go on. It sounds racist. But we're different. We're not different because of the skin color. We're not different because of our hair. These are nonsense. We have in us a certain value. That's who we are. And that's it. Once in the, like we said, in the UN, they decided that the state of Israel is racist. And different people got up and said, and they said, no, it's not. We don't use our being special or us being like, the Am Sgula to take advantage of other people. We use it, we understand that we have something. We are different. We're not different in the body, but we're different in the soul. We have something. We're definitely different than any other nation in the world. And even if we say we're not, then we're the same and everyone else. We could say nonstop because we don't want to get the nations angry. We're the same as you. There's nothing special about us. Right? It's not going to change the fact. Amzu yatzalti tilati yisaperu. Letitcha Elyon al kol goyim. The whole Torah is full of it. All the nations that will be blessed by you. I'll make you a great nation. And on and on and on and on. And this is just the way it is. And unfortunately, throughout the generations, every time we would win a certain, debate, they would kill us. But in the future, it will be clear who is the true servant of the King of all kings. That's us. Okay? So, back to where we are. The king is asking a question. If the Torah is so great and so moral, why wasn't it given equally to the nations of the world?
They don't accept.
What?
They don't accept it. Accept it.
They don't accept it. Right. It says that God went and asked them, do you want it? Everyone said no.
So, does this say that we were like the last person to be asked? Kind of?
Yeah.
So we weren't actually chosen. We were like the non-chosen one.
Exactly. That's what we're going to try to understand. That's what the first thing sounds like, right? What is going on here? Like you said, God needed the nation. He asked them. They said no. They said no. Okay. He said yes. And there's a whole Gemara about this. That in the end of the days, the nations are going to say, when God is going to give reward to the Jewish people, the nations are going to come and say, we want it. And God's going to say, where were you when I asked you if you want it? Now you went out at the reward. Is now you want it? They say, no, please, we want it. Okay, I'll give you one mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? Sukkah. Everyone runs, builds their sukkah on their rooftop, and God makes it so hot, the heat wave, that like you can't breathe. Each and every one walks out of his sukkah, kicks the sukkah, and goes home. The Gemara says a question, I don't understand. That's your proof that the Torah mitzvahs are not for them? There's a halacha that if it's hot, you don't have to sleep in the sukkah. You go out of the sukkah. So they didn't do anything wrong. Why are you kicking the sukkah? It's true, you have to leave the sukkah. You leave, you're sad, it's raining, it's too hot. You go, oh, I can't do this mitzvah. I so much want to do it, but I have to leave. In fact, they kick it, shows it's not for them. First story. Second story, the Gemara says, why are you kicking it? Second story. It comes time for the reward. God brings a Sefer Torah, holds it in his arm. This is the Gemara of Avodah Zarah, third page. God takes a Sefer Torah, puts it in his arm. Anyone who kept the Torah, come and get the reward. We want it. You didn't give us a chance. I gave you a chance. Give us a chance now. We want it. Fine. I'll give you tefillin and tzitzis. They put on the tefillin. They put on their tzitzis. And suddenly they see the war of Gog uMagog begins. Pa-pa-pam. The war of Gog uMagog begins. Immediately, they take off their strings and they say the pasuk, "Nenatka et masrotenu nashlicha mimenu avotemu." Let's get rid of these strings, these ropes that are tying us down, right? The tzitzis and the tefillin. Let's get rid of this. I want nothing to do with it. It's very nice when it's easy, but it shows it's not for you. It's not for them. They're not built for it. It doesn't fit for them. It's not right for them. Doesn't work. Anyway, but it's still a big question. And that's what we're going to go into a whole new discussion now about your question. Because it seems like we were the last resort. We were like, okay, fine, we'll take it. So now the whole discussion is going to go into a new place. The whole thing is that the connection that we have with the Torah doesn't start from the Torah. It starts from the Sgula. It starts from the people. And that's what we're going to go and talk about now. Is that the Torah is only for us because the Torah is, it says, Torah tziva nolanu Moshe morasha kilat Yaakov. Morasha means inheritance, or me'orasa. Al tikri morasha ela morasa. The Torah is engaged to us. It's our wife. It's our husband. It's our connection. It's a soul connection, and therefore that we're built for it, and that's we're going to a whole new concept of what's called the Sgula. Now we're going to explain the Sgula. Now here's an amazing thing. So the king says,
Okay, one Geula and Segula is different.
what is?
Geula and Geula. Segula is
Geula, redemption, and what?
Segula.
Yeah, Sgula means it's like we said. A Sgula is the advantage or the value, inherent value, or of the person. Like we said, the animal has a Sgula to be an animal. A plant has a Sgula to be a plant. So is an animal better than a plant? It's something else. It doesn't mean that it's better. It means it has an advantage. It has something that is a new development that doesn't exist in the plant. So we said Am Yisrael has a Sgula that doesn't exist in the rest of the creation of human beings. So the Sgula of Am Yisrael is a new creation. And here's an amazing. So then the king says, the king says, wait. So are you saying, you have a clear calendar of when the world was created, how the world was created, or when, like how do you translate that? Yesh etzlechem minyan barur mibriat haolam. Okay, so he wants to know, you're clear about the timeline. You have a counting of the years that you know is right. So he says, Amar Achaver. And now we're going to go into a whole new understanding of what is this Sgula, and it didn't come out of nowhere. How the Sgula developed, okay? Bo anumonim ve'en ben hayudim baze machloket mehod v'akdush. He says, yes, the rabbi says. We have a calculation, and there is no disagreement of any Jew from anywhere around the world, from India until Kush, from one side of the world to the other. Every Jew agrees on this. We said calculation of the years. These are facts. Not only are we sure, it's the only calculation we have. Can you believe it? And the king says, well, okay, how much do you Kama temonim hayom? What's the date that you count from? And here we're going to explain the same way we said there's levels in creation, in the reality of in the natural world. There's levels. There's plants. There's inanimate objects. There's plants. There's animals. There's people, and now he's going to go and explain. Yes, it didn't just come out of nowhere. There was what we call, what does Darwin talk about? The evolution. The evolution of the Sgula. Now I'm going to explain to you that the Sgula did not come out of nowhere. It was an evolution, and then it came. Now we count. He says, we're right now in 4,500 years from when Adam was born. Ve'enosh ve'ad Noach ad Shem ve'ever al Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov ad Moshe, and then he takes him to a whole new world of understanding. And now let me teach you, says the rabbi. When you count something, you're saying this is the most important starting point. This is like the changing point. This is where it all begins. We start from, and then I'm going to a concept of Lev Ha'adam V'Sgulato. God in the beginning started with the Sgula, with special people. Started with Adam. The Torah is not a book of history, even though it's historic. It's a book of, Rav Kook said, history. Some people spell it with a tet. He would spell it with a taf. Historia. Okay? Sorry, historia. Hester, ya. The Torah is the book that comes to reveal the hiddenness of God to be revealed. Right? Historia is Hester. God is hidden. Where is he hidden? Now we'll show you how he's revealed. That's the history. The Torah is the book of the revelation of God in the world. There were people before Adam Arishon. We don't know how long the world, how long creation, how long it took for the first day, second day. That's not important. We count from Adam Arishon. Adam Arishon was born 5,700. What's the year today? Pei Dalid is 84. 5,784. Today we are counting 784 years since Adam was created. And since a person who had a relationship with God. And that person, right, and the world now, and these Adam, who was the first person that had that sgula, that special inherent connection with God. He was a prophet, he was connected to God. Okay? Before that, the Rav Kook says there's a midrash says there was like monkeys or whatever there was, the creations that dinosaurs. We know there was people that colored. You can go into caves and see that there's 30,000-year-old paintings in that people actually like cavemen. Okay, fine, but they were not people who were connected to God. Adam was the first person with a connection with God, and that's where we start the Torah from, 5,784 years ago. And they had children. And Vash'al keklipot. Oh, now we're going into a new concept of there's the fruit, and there's the wrapper. There's the peel. The world from Adam, there were people that were the fruit, and there were people that were the peel. And there were children that were, and it would skip generations. You would have a father that was like a fruit, and you'd have a son that was like a peel. Right? And they didn't and the godly connection did not connect to them. And then when did the revolution take place? Individuals, until Yaakov Avinu. Suddenly there was actual family, that everybody in the family, by the way, all the wars between Yosef and the brothers was about this. Yosef seemed like he was into the external world. They thought, like the same way you have Avram had Yishmael and Yitzchak. Yitzchak had Yaakov and Esav. Esav's out. He's the klipa. And by the way, the klipa, it doesn't mean you're out, you're nothing. It's supposed to protect the fruit. It's supposed to be a relationship of the fruit and the peel. If they would be living on the right level, so Yaakov would be dealing with the essence, with the fruit, and Esav would be helping with all the external things, with all it protects the fruit, protecting the fruit, guarding it, right, helping it grow. If the relationship would be right between the fruit and the peel. The problem is the peel decides that it's only me. And the whole world becomes all about the external wrapper of life, all about the external things. Instead of being with a woman because you bring children, because you bring love with each other, it becomes just about the physical pleasure. And so on and so on. B'shava Elohit, instead of eating because you need to eat and you need the food, becomes like that's the reason for existence. Shava Elohut b'kahal rav. So the big revolution happened with Yaakov Avinu. Suddenly it's no longer individuals. It's actually a whole family, and everybody is in the fold. So yeah, they like, I'm saying, it's either us or you. It's either Yosef that's the peel and we're not. Right? That's the wrapper or the peel, and we're the fruit, or we're all the peel and he's the fruit, which means we're all going to be like insignificant. So obviously we need to kill him because they didn't understand. Not going to be a change happened. Throughout all generations, there's somebody in, there's somebody out. But they're both in. They didn't know that. Right? So, yes, we were told all these things. Can you imagine that Moshe Rabbeinu could go thousands of years back and tell us everything that happened? From the creation of the world until the most significant date, which is that we count from when the Segula began, and that's Adam Arishon. Okay? And then we said the world revolution is Yaakov Avinu. God's family is now, and it was a slow development. It says that Enosh, it says in the Torah, Az huchal likro b'shem Hashem. Enosh started to call out in the name of God. It says he did idol worshiping, but there was something starting. He went the wrong way. There was a religious, like he saw thunder and lightning, and he came to the conclusion that there's much more than what you can see in your eyes, and he started developing this like spiritual, religious desire. So there was things happening. When Yaakov Avinu, boom, something new, Kedushat HaKlal, and the king is blown away. The king says, Ze aprat marchik hamachshava ra'a. I can't believe this. This is like, he's shocked. How could you say something with such detail? How could you say something which can be proven that it's a lie? If Moshe Rabbeinu would come and give the facts of 3,000 years before him, right? He says, I can't believe this. It can't be that 10 people even agree on the same thing. And you're saying that all the Jewish people, millions of people, all agree that this is the correct historic fact. Someone would have let the secret out that this is a lie. Somebody, right? It can't be. He's like, I can't believe this. It means it's scientific. If you're saying that millions of people, he told this to millions of people and they all agreed, this is like being so precise, so exact on dates and people and names. This builds my trust. Okay? Now the king is shocked from the exact years, and he doesn't understand that this is an external thing. Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to explain to him not the dates and that it's real, but that through the dates, through the history, is revealed this segula, these very special people, right? And this is like, I'm saying, like think about it. Comes along like Muhammad, says God spoke to me, and I know, and and he gave me the Torah, and okay, you had some kind of hallucination, or I don't know what. Why should I believe you? Right? But here, you're talking about history. You can't lie, you can't trick. I'm saying someone would have, right? You can't come and say Napoleon never existed. Right? Because there's so many cross examinations of facts, of proofs that mention it here and there and there. It's true, it happened. He lived. Right? It's not like I could just make something up and I could say, okay, I could believe it or I don't believe it. But when you have something historical fact, this cannot be changed. This can't be lied. Right? We know who is Adam Arishon. He was a godly person. We can't understand the level, how high he was, how great he was. But we know the history that comes out from him. Okay, when the Torah tells us, Vayechi lemech, vayolad, vayamot, vayechi, the Torah is not just giving us historical facts. The Torah is mentioning certain names that were, like we said, the fruit, and they're in, and these people were the next, handing the torch of the Segula, of the evolution of the Jewish people. Didn't come out of a vacuum. Jewish nation didn't come out of a vacuum. It's something that is slowly developing, and that's what the king is now explaining to him, that yes, and we are connected to the whole world because we are talking about all of creation, but we're starting with the Jewish people. They are where it all begins from. Okay, we need to end. We'll continue.
How was it? I think just
I don't know. I hope they got something out of it.
I'm sure they did.